So today for our hero highlight and also for our spotlight speaker is Heath Fleener. Heath and I have had the opportunity to talk. You all haven't got to meet him like I have, and y'all are in for a treat to learn about him and his mission, and the nonprofit that he is working that's been growing a lot since I met him. But we're going to talk about his background and his service, how he got to where he is, and then also about what he's doing now. Whoops, went too far. So first of all, Heath, do I have your information here correct on this slide?
Yes, and I shared my
Okay.
Facebook link and LinkedIn also in the chat.
For some reason, these pictures aren't showing up, but those are from Alignable, your awards that you have there. So I'm going to stop sharing though, and I'll pull this back up in a little bit if anybody wants to catch that information. But like you said, he did put it in the chat. But I am so excited to have Keith here as our spotlight speaker, and we're going to do kind of a podcast type where I'm going to ask questions, and if anybody here has any questions, just put your hand up or put your hand up on the emoji thing, and I'll let you ask a question. So this is going to be real informal. So, all right. So would you tell everybody a little bit about where you came from and what brought you to the point of what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I shared my my operations plan with also in the chat. There's a cover and then the final operations plan, and that kind of goes into the whole mission of what we're doing, our vision statement, mission statement, and kind of where we're going with it. And part of that is kind of my why. So I've been dealing with post-traumatic stress since I was 6 years old. As you can probably imagine, at 6 years old, where that started with. I started dealing with a lot of crisis stuff through that. I saw my first fatality at 16. I saw my second fatality at 17. I decided at that point I was gonna, at 18, when I could join the volunteer fire department, I did. Um, and with that, I then joined the EMS department as well, became an EMT, and worked my way up to paramedic as a volunteer at 18 years old. Um, my very first cool call was I got to deliver a baby in the back of the ambulance at 18 years old, which was amazing.
Wow.
And I told this story at our first gala, where here I am, this 18-year-old. I just delivered this baby. I'm excited. This was amazing. This was awesome. And I go home and I'm just on cloud nine. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, we get another call come out. I'm so excited. I just did this. I'm on cloud nine. I'm just this ball of energy and everything. And I'm so excited to get out there and get on the ambulance again. We get out there and it's a fatality of 6 people of a family. And no 18-year-old's equipped for that, and but this became kind of how my life was. And from there, at 20, I joined the Army. While I was in the Army, I continued my EMS off base and got the opportunity when I was down at Fort Polk, Louisiana, to join a public safety department, which was police, fire, EMS, and dispatcher. And that was when my law enforcement career started. I got out of the Army and continued on that path in public safety, where I just retired due to an injury, career-ending injury in 2021 officially. Throughout my law enforcement career, I've done everything that you can imagine: gang, narcotics, undercover, SWAT, mounted. Was about the only thing I never did. I did motorcycle, all of that. So, but the last 10 years I was investigations, and I specialized in criminal sexual assault of minors and violent crimes. And I was on a task force as the lead investigator interrogator. And so you can imagine what movies I watch at night when I'm sleeping. And so that with a pending divorce, from infidelity and different things, I got real super depressed. And so I went to the VA to get help, and they gave it to me. They gave me antidepressants, and then they kept upping them and upping them and upping them and upping them to the point where they overdosed me on Wellbutrin. Now, anybody who knows anything about the side effects of Wellbutrin and an overdose of Wellbutrin, you're going to kill yourself. You're not going to think about it. You're not going to want to. You're going to. That is just the main side effect of that overdose. And so after months of seeing demons every time I looked in the mirror and all of these side effects and all these after effects of this, I sat down in my chair one night and I put my gun in my mouth and I pulled the trigger. And thank God that I had a light primer strike, which is a bullet malfunction, and it didn't go off. And so my whole life at that point changed. And I had to start doing something differently. I had to start thinking about, what do I do instead of this? Because this is all I wanted to do, was die. I did not want to live like this. I couldn't live like this anymore. And so I had to hyper focus on something. And the retreat for heroes is what I decided that I was going to hyper focus on, to take my mind off of taking my own life. And every day since then has been spent 24/7 on retreat for heroes. And as you'll see in the mission, it is what our goal and our mission is, to assist in the healing of the family unit and post-traumatic stress in our nation's first responders. Now, with that, if we can heal the family unit, and they don't have to go through that like I did, then we're going to heal and we're going to prevent suicide. So what we've developed is, I guess, I can't say that nobody else can do it, because they can. It's just nobody will do what we're doing and how we're doing it. So what I did was, I basically asked everybody that I knew, loved, and trusted that has been through something, how did you heal yourself? And I tried it. And I did this over 2 years, where I tried every modality. If somebody would have told me to hang upside down from the jungle gym, scrape my armpits, and scream like Tarzan, they would have said it worked. I'd have tried it. So what we've done is we've taken all of these modalities that worked for them, worked for me, and we're putting it together under one roof within a 200-acre state-of-the-art retreat center, as we can find land to buy it and build it. Starting with meditation, yoga, but it's all trauma informed. So it's a totally different style, and everything having to do with the mind healing, the body healing, going into then the teamwork of ropes course, obstacle course, a climbing wall, and a rappelling tower that's going to be ADA accessible. So even if someone's in a wheelchair and they want to get on that wall and rappel down, they're getting on that wall. Going into the even in the indoor activities, where we're having them work together, like the paint and sip, without the wine, of course, but where they're bringing these activities together, and everything becomes at that point multi-purpose. So one of the things with post-traumatic stress, when we're trying to break somebody out of an episode, is we do the 5-4-3-2-1 exercise. And that's where we encompass all of the senses to bring them back to reality, back to the moment and present. So 5 things that they can see, 4 they can touch, 3 they can hear, and on and on and on, to regain all the senses. So even in the paint and sip, they have this painting that they've all done together, each one of them, that they have to take home. They have, so they can see all along, this is a time when we've worked together. So we give them that memory of working together, but we also give them that focal point too when they're in that episode. And we also have different things, other things that we'll be sending home to, challenge coins, all of these different take homes that we'll be using. But everything is designed to be able to come home. Everything's designed to work together. Everything's designed to bring that teamwork back together again, to bring that family unit back together again. So if you look at it, you've got this family working together as a team again, surrounded by 14 other families working together as a team. So when they leave this retreat, they have this now larger family that they didn't have before. They have a place that they can come back to and volunteer, which is another type of healing that's totally different. They have us as a staff on the retreat, but we also then bring in what we call the century unit. And that is people that will follow up with them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis until they become what we will consider alumni. Then they will be invited back to become those centuries for future retreats. And that's how we create this legacy program behind it. So that's kind of the purpose, kind of the concept behind why nobody else can really do this, because nobody's wanting to introduce these things together.
Yeah. Are you going
So
to have retreats also for, say, single people who've either never been married or they're beyond the possibility of their family being reunited?
so we consider the family whoever their support structure is.
Ah,
So even if it's a single guy that's got his team, his unit, his whatever that support structure is, that's their family. So we consider that the family unit. And they're the ones that are going to be with them. So if it's, say it's a single SWAT guy, we're going to bring his entire team in with him to do this
okay.
retreat with them. So it'll be a different style of retreat with that type of a family dynamic, but we're going to bring their family in with them, whatever that family looks like. Because let's face it, if anybody that's been in the service, anybody that's been in that public safety arena, that team is their family. It is a secondary family, sometimes a primary family, but it is a family.
Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask before I hog up time? Yes, Ruben.
Yes, Heath. I paint every Wednesday afternoon with veterans. They're back in Nashville, where I'm from, and in the conversation, every time they paint, every stroke, you can hear all of the different episodes. You can hear how their family either supported them or didn't support them,
Yeah,
and then of course now that they have VA benefits, then you hear the interactions of between them and the doctor and all of these things. So it's really kind of a healing process. And sometimes when I'm on an art show or whatever, they reach out to me and say, "Are you going to be on there today?" I mean, it's a family that we've developed over time frame, and they really, really appreciate it. And they're dynamite artists, unbelievable.
absolutely.
Yes,
Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you very much.
that's awesome. And y'all should get together and have a one-to-one as
Yes, yeah,
well, so
please.
that maybe Ruben has some ideas on that too. That's what this group is all about, is collaboration and helping one another. And so one question I have for you is, oh yes, Stephen, go ahead.
So you said that this is geared towards the family on these retreats. So you're bringing in the family with, and I guess how long are these typical retreats?
Typically there'll be a 4 day.
Okay, and you do the flights and all that kind of stuff for the family, or is it just,
That's our plan. Yeah.
okay.
The plan is to be an all expense paid. And the reason we want to do that is we know so I'm a retired first responder. I'm a
Yeah,
retired police officer, so I don't make crap,
yeah.
you know. Um,
I
so
hear
I
you.
I know what it's like, and so to try to get them to pay for it themselves, that's going to be restrictive. Now once we have one in all 50 states, then that might change. But no, so we're dealing with Honor Flight, Angel Flight, and a bunch of other organizations like that that are actually looking to expand their mission, or at least their pilots, to be able to do part of that with us as well.
Okay. And
So
what's the application process look like?
so we're working on that right now. We're looking at doing our first retreat in November. So
Okay.
we're building the application. Everything's going to be a nomination based. And that's for us to be able to gain data first off, as to where the families are in their marriages. Um, so that way we can put the right families together. So we don't want somebody that's almost at the end of their marriage with somebody that's, with a bunch of people that are kind of just at the beginning stage of
Yeah.
their crisis. We want to kind of tailor it to where we've got people in the same place. And that way they're working together from that same place to kind of help each other get through that. And that's also going to help us decide how many people we bring out. We don't want 15 families that are at the end of their marriage.
Hmm.
We don't want it to be that big. We're going to make that a smaller retreat because we want them to have more personal time that we can work with them.
Heath, can you talk about like how people can contribute to Retreat for Heroes, and maybe talk about some of the recent possible things that are going on in that area?
Yeah. So our goals are very simple, but very expensive. Um, one of the things, trying to buy 200 acres of ground, that's not cheap. Trying to build a state-of-the-art retreat is not cheap. So we are looking for those sponsors and partners, to be able to get us where we need to be. So we are fundraising for that land. However, yeah.
You there?
There we go. For obtaining land, have you considered looking to some of the local pagan groups? They're very into getting land and keeping it as natural as possible. And pagans as a whole are very into emotional healing. So it might be something that they might want to partner with for something like this. I know because as a pagan, I know some folks that down in Florida was looking to build up enough land that they could set up something very similar to that.
So I'm not against working with anybody, and we're not so we don't hold a religious standing,
Oh no,
and for obvious
that's not what
reasons.
they're looking at it from the point they look at it from the point of preserving the natural area.
Right.
That's just nature because they're a nature-based thing. And they might, in order to help obtain land, they might be willing to partner with you guys, work together to obtain the land so that they have an area that they can set aside and then you can both use it. Just
So
something to think.
that's something else that we've also done, is we are partnering with other charities as well. And so that brings an option that we've worked with in Maine. We just got back from Maine, where we did a multiple charity camping trip on 750 acres, where that used to be a strip mine. And the guy just completely redid this whole ground. You can't tell what it used to be now. He totally reclaimed the land. And so he's working with us as a possibility to do something up there that'll be a 99-year lease, $1 a year lease. But I'm in Florida, and that's where my resources are, is here in Florida. So that'll be a chapter later,
Hmm.
that we might do something with or something else. But what we're doing now, we actually, while we're waiting for the land and for the fundraising on the land, we actually had a lady on Memorial Day weekend called me up and asked if we could use a boat. And so Saturday I met her and at the boat, and I'm thinking like it's probably going to be a small fishing boat or something like that, because that's generally when somebody donates a boat to you, it's going to be something like that. It wound up being a 35-foot cabin cruiser.
Oh,
It's still a boat.
It's still a
Nice.
boat, but it's a little bit bigger of a boat.
Nice, a
And
$300,000 boat. Yeah.
it's a $30,000 boat that they were trying to sell. They couldn't get it sold, and then they were still moving, and they needed to get rid of it. So she decided she's donating it, and somebody told her about us and a couple of other charities. The other charities were just going to turn around and sell it. Well, I didn't want to sell it because we can do. I run a crisis hotline, and a lot of times I wind up meeting one-on-one with these people that are in crisis, and that gave me another option to be able to work with them on the water, which is even more healing.
Water
And
is very
so,
calming.
yeah,
mhm.
it is. It's extremely good. And so when I told her what I wanted to do with it, she's like, "Okay, cheers. It's all
Wow,
yours." And
amazing.
so,
Wait,
but I had to find a place to put it. It's where do you,
And
like, you
insurance.
got to find a place to put a 35-foot boat. That's not so
well, it depends
simple.
on where in Florida you're at.
Well, where also what you can afford.
Shipped
Yeah.
to
And,
Colorado.
that's the biggest one. And so I wound up going to a birthday party for a friend of mine and was kind of laughing with him. I said, "Hey, I got a new office donated to us today. I got to find a place to put it. You think you can help me?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I showed him a picture, and he's like, "Wow, damn, nice office." He's like, "Hold on." And he calls his neighbor over. And he's like, "Hey, come over here and check this out." And so I showed him, he's like, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, I got my office donated, and I got to find a place to put it." And he's like, "Holy crap, nice office. What do you do that somebody gives you something like this?" And I explained who we are and what we do. And he's like, "Okay, stop right there." And he calls his wife over, and he tells me start over. And so she is a retired EMT and firefighter and a combat helicopter medic. So right up the alley of what we do. And so I tell her, and her jaw just keeps dropping further and further and further, because all they've ever wanted to do was be a part of an organization like this. They own a charter company, a boat charter company with several different types of watercraft. So the next day, I had a new dock that was half the price of where it was sitting. And he has now become our aquatics director. And now their for-profit company has now become our fleet for our nonprofit company. And so starting November, we're going to be doing our first retreat. It's just going to be on the water, not on land.
I'd like to apply for the office manager job, please.
We're always
Right.
accepting volunteers. But
Well-
one thing also we are looking for though is grant writing. That's again what we're trying to do. We're trying to do something huge, and it's a lot to bite off.
Mhm.
So if anybody knows anybody that is good at grant writing or anything else, that's something that we could definitely use is help on that front.
He,
But yes.
he, don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to remember what I'm saying here. I ran a nonprofit and one of the things that we went to the colleges and
Mhm.
we hired grant interns to write these grants. And they did a phenomenal job. And you
Interesting. Okay.
don't have to pay them either unless unless it's another situation where you do pay them and it's not very
Right.
much at all. So
Um,
get to
Very
the
interesting.
colleges. Yeah,
I
get to
wanted-
the colleges.
I wanted to, because I know some people have to leave for other meetings, and I don't want to, I don't want anybody to have to run out, but I know you got to run. So I'm going to try to wrap up. And do you want to tell them, everybody, just make sure you save the chat, because I believe, Heath, did you put your information in the chat?
I did.
Okay,
I'm not
and I
entirely
can-
sure how to save the
yeah.
chat. Can you save that and
And-
send it to me?
Yes,
Yeah.
and Heath is
Okay,
on
perfect. Thank you.
Alignable, so make sure that you send him a connection request. If anybody wants to hang on a minute, I'm rather than going through the slides. Thank you so much, Heath, for
Yes.
the just talking to
Yeah,
us.
thanks for
and
your service too. man.
everybody,
Oh,
and
and
thank you
thank
for
you
your
so much for your
service.
time.
Thanks, Heath.
Yes, this was awesome.